Welcome and thanks for joining us to our video series, Building an Inclusive Workforce, a dialogue about ensuring employment for people with disabilities. We are really passionate about making sure that people on the autism spectrum with other disabilities are going to be part of our economic recovery as we move forward and emerge out of this health crisis. And I'm really pleased to talk to various people who share that passion with me and are working in our communities to make this dream a reality. And today I'm really, really excited to have with me someone I've gotten to know over the last few years, Eric Williams. And Eric is a father of a young man who is on the autism spectrum and also runs the amazing community organization, Project Elijah Empowering Autism. Welcome, Eric. And can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you started this organization?
Thank you. First, I just want to say thanks for having me. You and I, we've been co-laboring together so over the years, so it's just a pleasure.
Yeah.
So my program is actually Project Elijah Empowering Autism. The program was named after my son Elijah, who's now 22. So at the age of 3, he was diagnosed with autism, and we resided in the West Philly community. And at the time, years ago, there weren't any programs. So I just did some regular Google search. At the time, it was the phone book. So look through the phone book and see what programs were out there. And immediately I became irate because there weren't any. So I reached out just for in the city of Philadelphia, just to see, in the state of Pennsylvania, and then abroad, just to get my own understanding, like how come there isn't anything out there for inner city families. So rather than just complaining about what needs to happen or go to my city official, I just decided to start my own. So with no knowledge of working with families on autism spectrum, intellectual disabilities, or nor running a nonprofit, PEEA was born. So we started off doing regular meetings at High School in West Philly, and got a bunch of surveys that I sent out to some families. Got an overwhelming response, probably 400 or 500 responses, and I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be it."
Wow.
Come to the meeting, it was one person. So I figured, like, okay, all of this enthusiasm that I had within that, it resided within me. And then I knew that, okay, let me see if this goes on. So I just continued to do the program for a couple years, and with maximum turnout, probably 4 to 5. But I knew that there was families out there that needed help. The one day I decided to stop doing the PEEA meetings, was about 45 families that were there. So at
Wow.
that time, they gave me a new rebirth, and then a sense of direction, just hearing from other families that this is well needed in the community. And then now it's time to move forward. So PEEA is actually in its 15th year of providing free year-round educational and recreation activities to families who are faced with autism.
Yeah, that's incredible. The community I live in, I started sort of the same way. I looked around, I thought, how am I going to get my daughter who's 23 through this school system? And we started a parent group, in our school district, so we could figure out how to get our kids educated. And my daughter's 23 now, so we're doing, at the same stage. And I've had the honor of getting to know Elijah a little bit,
Mhm.
and he lights up the room. when he is there working, it's that smile is from ear to ear, and I can't imagine any workplace that wouldn't be thrilled to have him there and part of it. Tell me a little bit first, like with just Elijah, what has employment meant to him?
So Elijah, I always talk about his smile because that's
Yeah.
his character, and he wears that on his sleeve. And Elijah's always been, in my eyes, a doer. Like, you don't have to ask Elijah to do anything. He looks at you, and then he tries to mock that. So he always been wearing that on his sleeve, very prideful about all of the necessary things that he's involved in, and then now just try to make sure that that gets seen by others other than his family members, other than his friends. So Elijah has a unique skill set to where years ago, before I was opening PEEA, I didn't know what was going on, how to run a nonprofit, how to work with families with intellectual disabilities. But the main thing I didn't know is how to work with my own son.
Oh,
I had
wow.
no rhyme or reason, no methodical techniques that I knew of. it was just a daily trial and error things that we went through, that some worked and some didn't work. For
Right.
example, Elijah's education at 22 isn't of a 22-year-old or someone with Asperger's. His was a little lower. So the behavior part of it back then, I had to weigh the behavior part. Do I want to focus on that, which was kind of more where he needed help more? Or do I focus on the educational part
Mm,
to trying to have the two meet in the middle? So
yeah.
I decided to work on the behavior part, figuring if I could get his behavior kind of under wraps, I can teach the educational at any point once I get him in there. And that's been the way that I've unofficially followed. And
Hmm.
to come to find out, that's been his strong suit ever since.
Yeah.
So
Look at that.
now,
Yeah, that's
those,
beautiful.
those skill sets that he has, he always had them with him, but just needed that push, just needed that one person or job or someone to show that confidence in him to just let him be himself and learn how to get a greater appreciation, not just for Elijah, but everybody else that they may come across. And we have a saying at PEEA, if you don't know someone with autism or intellectuality today, you soon will.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. It's so interesting because my daughter is sort of the same way. Like she
Mhm.
has so many talents and gifts and capabilities, but it does like they will come out when the circumstances are supportive and someone sort of brings out that light in her, right?
Right.
And I never thought of it that way either, but I think I did the same thing you did. Was sort of focus on making sure she had the social skills and the behaviors, and that's all the building blocks to employment.
Right.
So he was working shortly before COVID hit. Is that correct? What has work meant to him?
Work has been a blessing to him. So he worked at a rehabilitation center. So Elijah, my grandmother, she was in a nursing home. So and my mentor who just passed a month ago, he was in a nursing home. So Elijah always gravitated toward the elderly.
I remember him saying that was his goal to
That
work
was
in
his
the.
first and only thing was a nursing home.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
knowing that he comes, although you have to teach him certain things about learning the ropes in a job setting,
sure.
his basic fundamental skill set, he jumped right in and was like off and running, zero to.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
just to see him excel in a workplace has been a tremendous moment. Unfortunately, fortunately, he just got hired full time after completing the project search program, and then he was just moving into an employment probably within 5 weeks. And then with everything happened with the pandemic, he was couldn't go back to work. So now it's just dealing with that difficult task of how to keep him engaged.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So what do you think like employers can do? I mean, why would employers still go down this route, with all these various challenges? What does it mean to people? And
I think because there is a beneficial light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, yeah.
Because prior to like, and we may in fact have to go back and say promote, be our self advocates for them to say these are their skill
Mhm.
sets, these are the potential that they bring, and even the way intellectual disabilities is displayed in the various media outlets. We may have to draw it all back to square one to say this is the benefit of you having a person with an intellectuality in your corporation, and trying to get them up to speed. And then we may have to do a virtual reality type orientation with them to
Yeah.
say, okay, I've had a conversation with Elijah with PPE and he's okay. Or these are the other hypotheticals that we could bring. This is statistical data that I've gathered from, people in the PEEA organization and kind of be that buffer in between. So they won't have to go necessarily back to square one. We could kind of meet in the middle and be at second base rather than trying to score a run.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And I think
Way.
what's amazing too is like the advocacy that we know parents have brought to the table and to the community around this. And without any real training or skill sets, like we've developed this as we went in this journey. And I think there's so many people within many companies and businesses who may have this passion. I mean, do you see them as champions to move this forward, or what can they be doing?
Yeah, and some of the advocates, they're mentally wiped out during this phase, kind of the ones that I've talked to. But then also the
Yeah,
people in the businesses that have, I guess, to say so, to bring someone in, they're our champions for now. And we
yeah,
have to rely on them. So whatever kind of um, character building, professional development, whatever we need to do, we need to hone in on them. And then hopefully they'll feel like they know that they have a voice to want to go, not just to affect change with their loved one or their neighbor that they may know, but how do you go outside of that?
well, I think, it's this partnering as we've been doing, and I look forward to doing with you moving forward. We have to find the champions and the partner cross sectors, cross industries, cross communities to really thrive and emerge out of this crisis and
Hmm.
ensure that the future, that people with disabilities and who are on the autism spectrum have a seat at the table and are an essential part of our new economy.
Yeah, and what I do, I share with them like kind of like my open comments are know that you're not alone.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if you have business A that wants to invest in the life of a loved one with an intellectual disability, and they may be okay with it, but knowing that company B is already putting something in place and kind of sharing that information as discreetly as possible, or even on an open platform, they will feel more comfortable and let the companies talk themselves. How has that experience been to you? And even maybe do a couple sessions on bringing business in and just how to deal with this situation. I think that'd be so great to have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great idea. I know we were looking at some cohort models of
Mhm.
businesses that could share best practices and lessons learned. And there's nothing like a business to hear that stuff. That's right. That's right. Well, listen, Eric, I wish the best of luck to you and Elijah. I will look forward to partnering with you as we move forward and emerge out of this. And the economy begins to reopen. And I just thank you so much for all the work you do.
It's a pleasure. Like I mentioned numerous times, whenever you need me, I'm there. Stay
You
safe.
are.
Well, be healthy. Thank you again.